11. I like to see that. 11 people in the room, 11 likes. I'm hoping it shows me your chat. There we go. Hi, Melanie. My laptop's not here. Hi, Moxie. I usually look at your chat from another screen, but it is popping up on my phone. Good. How's everybody doing this evening in this black moon, new moon energy? Hi, Kayla. Hi, Electa. Hi, June. Hello, hello. So, hi, Elle. Hi, Jimmy. So good to see you, Jimmy. Hi, Alicia. We got a black new moon. We got a black new moon. I just recorded a collective message for you that I'm going to post tomorrow. Thank you for showing up on a Friday night. This will be our new setup time to get together. Hi, Benjamin. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Sai. So this black new moon, it's about banishing fear, banishing fear. This is all about your banishing spells. What do you fear, Star Child? Hi, Mark. Hi, Jordy. So we got all the witchy decks out tonight. We're going to take a look at this. Black moon is powerful. This black new moon is powerful. It's coming in before the harvest season, okay? It's powerful because it's a chance to dive into some shadow work. That's right, Moxie. Punch that fear in the face. Hi, Keely. Diving into the shadow a little bit. Using ritual. Today and tomorrow are very powerful times for ritual. Banishing rituals in particular. To banish those things that we fear. Those things that might be lurking in the shadow that we want to integrate. Bunny! Hi, Bunny. Hi, Scorpio. So the message, the reading I just recorded for you tomorrow is all diving into shadow work. So let's see what comes out. Let's see what's up with my witches tonight. What kind of voodoo you doing? Sorry, I was so busy. It's a little harder for me to see your chat tonight. I was so busy getting Giz situated. You know, he has to have a special spotlight on him and everything. It's all in his new contract for New Orleans. That I forgot to grab my laptop. So I can read your messages a little better. Giz has a fear of not being seen. Giz has a fear of not being seen. Thinking a lot about vampires today. You know, the Catholic Church has a very special interest in harnessing the knowledge of living vampires. The Vatican loves that ish. One of these days when I'm out doing a live, I'll share with you all the story of the Ursuline convent here in New Orleans, where the OG vampires hit the U.S. shores. All right, we're gonna dive into the witching hour. I got all the dark decks out tonight. I broke out the Deviant Moon deck. We've got the witching hour. We've got the dark mirror. So what's happening here? What's happening in the tribe's energy tonight? What's happening in the tribe's energy tonight? Talk to me about this black moon magic. Talk to me about this black moon magic. Sister Morgan's a hit here. The Taurus love it. Transformation from heartache, respecting spirits, sacred vows. Okay. I'm looking at sacred vows, commitment, broken branch, heartache, and the flames, the transformation. This is clearly about someone who has gone through a breakup in a long-term relationship or a divorce is what I'm feeling here. Not quite sure how this respecting spirit message is tied into this, but let's dive into this. Transformation after the breaking of sacred vows. Oh, bunny. We're going to have to get into some Bible verses now. Transformation after the breaking of sacred vows. Someone took a vow that they believed to be very sacred and had to break it as a respect to self, as a respect to spirit, as a respect to your soul. There was a relationship that forged you in the fire, but in the end, it's creating transformation. What's the fear, though? What's the fear within these sacred vows? Talk to me about the fears of these sacred vows, this commitment. A banishing of sacred vows. Talk to me about a banishing of sacred vows. Ten of Pentacles, y'all. It's come out more than once since I've been back here pre-shuffling and doing a pre-read for you. Somebody thought they were in their Ten of Pentacles, okay? You signed a sacred vow. You signed a sacred vow, ended up being a King of Wands in reverse. Now, a King of Wands in reverse is not necessarily a masculine. This can be masculine and feminine. This is about personality type. This is someone who was running around. This is someone who was telling a lot of lies. Signed a sacred vow with them, a sacred commitment, ended in heartbreak. Thought it was your Ten of Pentacles, okay? There's a fear about not getting there again. Talk to me about that. Because I see the card of transformation here. I see the card of transformation here. Tell me more about the fear. Okay. So it happened more than once. All right. There's something that you didn't see here with the Four of Cups. First it was a King of Wands in reverse. Now it's an Emperor in reverse. All right. So you've been around that mountain a couple of times. Learn something from each time. What'd you learn from this? What'd you learn from this? Because there should be no fear in this. A Ten of Cups in reverse. Someone is deeply harboring emotion. The Death card in reverse. Not walking into a new season because of what you've experienced in the past. The Lovers in reverse. Talk to me about this transformation. This is something you've already experienced. Looks like you experienced more than once. What's behind the moon? We have the moon here. What's hidden? There's been a transformation. You've learned something, meaning you have nothing to fear. The mind can play tricks on us, though. That's for damn sure. Tell me about this. Yeah, okay. This is a time to take inventory, to banish some thoughts, okay? I'm speaking to someone who just feels like they have had no luck here. No luck in sacred union, no luck in relationships, all right? But what's behind the moon? This is something that's in the subconscious. This is in the emotions also. Are these feelings of a Six of Wands in reverse, meaning I'm never going to have victory with this. And the Hangman in reverse means that not going in for a higher perspective, because there's clearly a transformation here. Not going in for a higher perspective on what thoughts need to be banished. And the thoughts that need to be banished are simply this: that I will not repeat the past because I've learned from my past. I will not repeat the past. I have learned from my past. Because you still want to be in this 10 of Pentacles. Okay? That came up in the upright. So there are self-defeating thoughts that are holding someone back here. Those self-defeating thoughts can be banished through ritual. It's an invocation of the emotions that are tied to this. That's what ritual will do. It will bring out the emotions that's tied to this negative talk here. Because you learn some things, you're transformed, but you're not seeing that transformation. Somebody's not seeing this transformation. They're scared of heading towards any type of commitment in life, in fear of getting burned again. But it's the thoughts. It's the thoughts. What's the truth about this transformation? We have the Ace of Swords. What's the truth about this transformation? The truth about this transformation is you're no longer in wounded warrior energy over this. You're no longer in wounded warrior energy about this. You're no longer going to be in wounded warrior energy if you are to put yourself out there, because you've learned the lessons. But there's a thought that is keeping some people in a stronghold here in these sleepless nights. See how he's got a blanket keeping you in your comfort zone, keeping you in your comfort zone, keeping you with people that are in your comfort zone. Tell me more about this. Keeping you with people in your comfort zone. This same karmic loop keeps happening again because of moving towards people and not moving away people that are different energetically, that match the energy of your transformation. Tell me more about this. Yeah. In the logical mind, there isn't a repeat of the past, but in the emotional space, there's a repeat of the past going on. And that's the messaging. That's the messaging that we're giving ourselves. That's what needs to be banished. Tell me more about this. Yeah, the Devil in reverse and the Wheel of Fortune. Look. Do you suffer from addiction at one point in time and now you don't? Don't hang out with people that suffer from addiction. Doesn't mean that we can't have empathy for them. Actually, there will not be anyone who's probably more empathetic to an addict than someone who's been an addict in their past. But you've transformed. Addiction can come in many forms. but you've transformed. So why stay in the energy of other addicts? You transformed so that this karmic wheel, you could spin this karmic wheel in the direction that you wanted to, into the life that you want to live, into the manifestations that you wanted to live. And you have I can't show these cards. Man, this is getting hard on YouTube. You've transformed with this devil in reverse. Whatever that addiction was, whatever that obsession was, you broke your own chains. Yet still around people that are not willing to break their own chains. And they're the only ones that can break those chains. Thanks, Jennifer. It's my summer nails. I can't put Sharpies on my decks, Alabaster. There's something so awful about that to me. I can't do it. I can't do it. I have too much love for my tarot decks than to hit them with Sharpies. Plug in the Golden Girls tarot deck again. Yes, that needs to happen. Blanche Devereaux in reverse. It's a familiar energy, okay? Even after heartbreak, even going through the transformation, there's something that's familiar energy. There's something that's familiar energy of the past. So there's a gravitation to it, which is denying the truth, which is denying the truth of the transformation. And it's not their energy, it's a messaging. It's some kind of messaging to self. Tell me more about this messaging. Oh, this is guilt and regret. Excuse me, this is guilt and shame. Thank you. This is guilt and shame. Not wanting to take the leap and celebrate. Not wanting to celebrate your transformation because the people around you won't celebrate that transformation. Of course they won't. They want to keep you on their level. They want to keep you on your level, on their level. This is where this respecting spirit comes in. Talk to me about this respecting spirit, because your third eye is open. Somebody's on a completely different plane. After healing from heartbreak, after healing from addictions, after healing from obsession, this sounds like obsession over a relationship, in fear of moving forward, in fear of being with different energies, but you've transformed. That's where the repeated pattern comes in. That's why we saw the King of Wands in reverse and also the Emperor in reverse, falling in line with those same energies, those same personality types. There's a belief that that's faded for them. Tell me about these spirits hanging out. Tell me about this respecting spirit. Talk to me about respecting spirit. Spirit keeps trying to move you out of the way. They want you curious. They're moving you out of the way of a Seven of Swords. They want you curious about new energies, new places, new spaces, because you've already been forged in fire. You've already been forged in fire. There's no reason to throw yourself back in the fire. You know, unless that's your thing, unless you're into that. Some of you are holding back in fear of a tower, but you're making up the tower in your mind. The tower doesn't exist. We do that. Fear does that. Fear keeps us still. Fear keeps us from going forward. Okay? We do that a lot. Someone is with the Page of Swords. This is the energy of someone. How do I explain this? Give me a visual. It's like someone living in a snow globe, feeling like they're living in a globe, living in a bubble, watching the rest of the world go around outside of them. in hermit mode, in fear though, in fear. We don't like this. We need to break out of this. Let me grab another deck. We're going to keep talking to these spirit messages before we clear this energy. It is strange going back out into the world after you've transformed. It is strange going back out into the world after suffering heartbreak, after suffering grief, okay? After the wreckage of sacred vows. Especially when one has gone into the hermit mode, okay? And has transformed. The world can feel weird, the world can feel scary. But you have a lot of spirit energy around you here with the respecting spirit. So let's see what they got to say. We have more messages from these spirits. Know that this is protection. Know that this also is about change. There is 555 here. There is victory in going out and having your defenses up, okay? Maybe the idea of this 5 of swords is hard. It's hard going out and facing the world with your defenses up, but the fear is that if you leave hermit mode, you're going to feel very ungrounded and your defenses are going to be very up, right? The scales will always balance out. You may be super guarded when you go out. You may be super guarded when you meet those new people. You may be super guarded when you go on that date, okay? And that's okay. That's okay. Even if it's all the way over here on the pendulum, because you do it a couple of times and the pendulum will come back into balance. Because before it was all the way over here. And that's why there was a repeat of these karmic lessons. Letting down our boundaries too much. And we have the card of victory here. It will come back into balance. It will equal a victory. Look at that. And just as I said, the justice card, or spirit said, why regret? I'm looking at the 9 of Cups and the 8 of Pentacles. Some of you feel regret that the past held you back from going forward with occupations that you would find joy in. There's somebody taking an inventory on their life right now. There were some sacred vows that were broken. I feel like there was a marriage that was broken. Someone dedicated their life to this relationship, their life to a family, their life to children. They sacrificed their dreams. There is no reason to feel in regret about it because the time is now. You can still go after it. If there is a belief that you are too old, too unqualified, too undereducated, that needs to be banished in ritual over this black moon. It needs to be written down on a piece of paper and burned. And that is you serving your own justice. That is things coming back into balance. We have a lot of really foolish beliefs. A lot of foolish beliefs, things that were said to us, you know, things other people have said to us, things that society has said to us that are not true. Things like thinking we're too old or too underqualified or it's too late to start over. Starting over is always part of the transformation. What other messages from these spirits before I close out this energy? The Prince of Wands, the Three of Wands. Because if you do it, you'll age in reverse. You're not too old. You're not too old. And it will give you the fire back with the Prince of Wands. You're being asked to go your own way, no matter what age you are, no matter what timeline you're on. No matter what sacred vows were broken, no matter what karmic cycles you have repeated, you still have an opportunity to glamour yourself. All right. Let's pull some more oracles. 50s is the new 30s. You got that right. You got that right, Moxie. All right. Let's go to the season of the witch. I'm glad to hear you're in the driver's seat, John. I do too, Moxie. I look younger than I did 10 years ago. Half due to stress relief, half due to cosmic enhancement. All right, let's see what's going on in the season of the witch. You are the one that you are meant to trust above all else. You are the greatest love of your life. The swan. The swans are paired, though. This is a pairing with self. 5. 5 keeps coming out tonight. We see a lot of 5, 5, 5. It's all about the 5s. It's all about the change. And I don't know, I just like the word banish. It's sexy. Blackberries and candle dressing. Intentions, declaring intentions. This is about the swan song to self. We're looking at the swan song to self, not ignoring the presence of our own divinity within self. Okay? Candle dressing is about engraving spoken intentions and declaring them out loud. The invocation, the declaring. This is back to the ritual again. Okay? This is calling in spirit guides. This is carving spirits into candles, names of spirits into candles that you want to call in to help you banish these thoughts, to help you banish these self-limiting thoughts and beliefs in the mind in order to get to your swan song, in order to really ground in understanding your divinity, the presence of spirit within yourself, the presence of your soul. Because your soul is what you should trust above all else. Talk to me about this candle dressing. Talk to me about this candle magic. This is new moon too. There's a new moon on this card. Judgment. Archangel Michael. What is the message from Archangel Michael? To banish regret. Someone needs to banish the words of others here, this King of Swords energy, that has affected the emotional space, and it's caused some kind of regret. It's a false belief of regret. There's a false belief that you are regretting something that you don't really need to regret, and it's coming from the words of someone else. And Archangel Michael is going to help you with this. Tell me more about this. What are these words that are causing regret? Regret how you treated others with the 5 of Swords and the 3 of Pentacles. There's someone who is, I feel like there's an energy that forced you to make an apology that you never really needed to make. There was something that someone else believed wasn't polite. Somebody was crossing your boundaries, but that believed that you were not dealing with it in a people-pleasing way. Okay? And there's actually been a long-term like let down of boundaries in this space, particularly in community. I feel like this is some kind of social community, some kind of social group that you know through family, okay? And someone cut you down in your words that you should regret not meeting their expectation, that there was apologies that need to be given that did not really need to be given. If anything, someone else should have apologized to you for crossing a boundary. But this has afflicted the emotional space, okay? And that needs to be banished. That needs to be banished for sure. Somebody was asked to apologize for simply advocating for their own boundaries. I'm getting a deep message on this that I don't know if I should say it on YouTube. This is going to be specific for some people, but I'm getting a message that somebody was abused by another. The abuse was never brought to the light. The abuse was never recognized. It was denied. And so whoever was victimized to the abuse actually had to apologize. And although you've healed from that, there's still something that's afflicted in the emotions about feeling the need to apologize for your boundaries. And that needs to be banished. And so this is about doing a candle ritual. This is about taking something and putting Archangel Michael's name in the wax, carving his name in the wax into a white candle. And calling in Archangel Michael to banish that belief from the emotional space, because that's something that lives in the shadow that creates this false meekness, this feeling apologetic about boundaries that isn't real, that doesn't need to be there. Okay? Talk to me about your divinity here with the swan song and the blackberries. No, this is how the black moon goes, okay? It's bringing up stuff. Some of it might feel uncomfortable. But get nice and primal. Get nice and primal in your rituals. This is really good energy. It can feel like very dark energy the next 2 days, but it's significant to release. It's significant to integrate the darkness. Okay. Tell me about this greatest love. This greatest love. This divinity. King of Cups. I like this. 3 of Wands. This is emotional balance. The Chariot. There's spirit energy here to help you banish some things right now. Yeah, they want you in the 10 of Cups. Spirits that are wanting you in the 10 of Cups. Spirit energy in this Chariot card. Becoming emotionally balanced. Again, there we see the aging in reverse, okay? There's something significant about 3 too, right? 3 guides. Talk to me about these 3 spirit guides, please. 1 to release regret, 1 to release guilt, and 1 to release shame is what these messages are. Call in those 3 guides also. because that's how powerful and strong those emotions are, right? And can keep us in these spaces and keep us in this darkness sometimes that we don't realize. Regret, guilt, and shame can be so powerful that literally they're saying there is a guide, there is a spirit guide to handle every single one of those individually, because they do, they all will bring different things to the surface. And it's time to let those things go. It's time to let those things go to be able to come into this King of Cups energy. The King of Cups is balance. He's balanced in his emotions. He's balanced in his logic. He has a very firm foundation. He doesn't close his heart off. He doesn't deny his emotions. He doesn't have a false sense of stoicism. He feels. But it's balance. It's balance in the logic too. It's balance in the logic too, and making decisions and not feeling that guilt, shame, and regret to move forward action. Those should never be part of action. If we ever feel guilty about something, we need to question that before we take an action. If we ever feel shame, we need to question that before we take an action. If we ever feel regret, because this is where it's at. This has come out twice tonight, okay? This emotional fulfillment. There's something here. There's something too. We keep getting this messaging tonight with the Three of Swords, the Nine of Swords, and the Seven of Swords, is someone being their own soulmate. Someone realizing that they're their own soulmate. Okay, that there's a presence of spirit and self, that you are the strongest love of your life. That does not mean that you will not receive love from others. It does not mean that you will not be divinely paired, because that's how swans roll. Swans are divine pairs. But this is the divine pairing of self before being paired with another. And sometimes that divine pairing with self will pull us apart from others. Yeah, because that self-love is when we realize that some that we may feel that we should have been paired with, really, we're not supposed to be. Because it's a violation of self. All right, what more do we need to know about this candle magic before I close this? Before I close this energy. They're not giving me much comic relief, guys, tonight. It's this black moon energy. The universe. The Seven of Cups in reverse, closing cycles against all illusions, understanding that you are the masterpiece. And you know what? When you do go your own way, you are going to have to defend yourself in the world. And this feels odd to someone. This feels odd to someone. This feels bad to someone. This feels inappropriate. This feels like not love and not light. And that is not the truth. That is not the truth. Because if we're not loving self, then we do not defend our own honor. We do not defend our own energy. Our energy just can't be open to everyone all the time. And that is actually an act of self-love. Boundaries are an act of self-love, right? Okay, let's clear that energy. Let's look at what other kind of magic's going on in this black moon. Yes, setting boundaries is love. Even when other people, are not keen with it. It's an act of self-love, and it's an act of love to them too. You're being a mirror. You're being a teacher. Hi, Brittany. What's up? Shift this energy. What you think? Well, that's fine with me. Giz is talking about having a black candle mass this evening. All right, I'm gonna pull out the Moonology deck. And I think I mentioned this before, but there are many nights that I've woken up in this new space where at like 3 a.m. and it smells like a Catholic offering mass in here. I just smell candles. It smells like there's 100 candles burning in this house. It's that witching hour, you know? 3 a.m. It's when I get a lot of messages. All right. Let's get some messages for the tribe from this Moonology deck. Ooh, that wanted to come out. What's that? What do you need to release? That is what this energy is about. That is what this black moon energy is about, okay? Banishing is releasing. What needs to be released at this time? Had a very important conversation with a friend today. I'm not one that likes to talk about me. And I had a very important conversation with a friend today that helped me release, that helped me banish, that helped me see some things that were happening in my energy. The things that I was focusing on. My focal point was in the wrong place. And it helped me to release some things. It was a very important conversation. I think I'm sharing that with you because some of you may have to, maybe you do need to talk something out with someone at this time to get down to the bottom of what needs to be released. I couldn't get down to the bottom of what needed to be released because I've been up in my head. I've been up in my head for a minute, you know? I think we all experience that. What else? What else is happening? Surrender to the divine. What needs to be released? What needs to be surrendered at this time that is getting in our way? For some of you, it's an illusion. Nothing is going to come from this situation. Energy gaining momentum. Okay, I'm gonna spew this out real quick and then I'm gonna close this energy because the cards were affected by what I was just talking about. And this message is for you. But maybe it's important that I share this with you. There was energy. There's energy in the mind. There was energy in my mind that was gaining momentum, okay? Nothing was going to come of this situation. It was false fear, right? False evidence appearing real. Things that I feared right now. I was attracting my own fears because of what I was focusing on in the energy. And what do I got to do? These are the things that I will be banishing tonight in my candle rituals, okay? And what is that needs to be released? There's always a root to fear. There's always a root to fear. But when we focus on the fear, we exacerbate that energy. So some of you may also be experiencing that. I was experiencing that earlier today, but I did get down to the bottom of where I need to shift my mind. And I'm going to stop talking now so that these cards are not tapping into my energy, but your energy. But we're all a mirror, right? Life is a mirror. Tell me what the tribe needs to hear. Hi, Limelight. Welcome in. Some of you have a personal issue that's reaching resolution. Talk to me about this. Cancer, this is Cancer energy. Some of you have a personal issue that is reaching a resolution. What is this personal issue that's reaching a resolution? Talk to me about the issue, then talk to me about the resolution, please. This personal, okay, this is the Queen of Swords in this deck. This is all about ritual and ceremony. Okay, this is the card of ritual and ceremony in this deck. I hope y'all plan on getting your witchy business on this weekend. That's the resolution. We do like to talk about resolutions more than problems around here. So tell me about this. What needs to reach resolution here through ritual and ceremony? What needs to be released through ritual and ceremony to work towards resolution? Some of you believe that actually there's been some bad energy, some bad magic coming towards you. Okay? There's been victory over this, okay? There's been victory over anyone that you feel like has been attacking you through ritual, is what this is telling me, and that it is finished with the 10 of Swords. So what would need to be banished? What would need to be banished through your ritual and ceremony is the fear that this is still happening. Because what these cards are showing me is that it's not. Okay? Tell me more. It is finished. Tell me more about what needs to be. Tell me more about these resolutions released through ritual and this black moon, please. Tell me about this Three of Wands. I'm looking at a 10 of Cups again tonight, okay? The 10 of Cups just came out again. The High Priestess. High Priestess, you have the key. You have the key to your 10 of Cups. Tell me more about this Three of Wands, because you are the High Priestess. This is understanding how ritual is connected. There's someone who is on this live who thinks a lot about ritual but never actually does it. It feels a bit woo-woo, okay? I'm going to break it down for you. Visualization is important. Invocation of the voice is important. Visualizing things in the 3D, saying things in the 3D changes the mind map. Hermetic law is also in the principles of neuroscience. So that's why we talk about these things. Now, you can make it as simple or complicated as you want, but it's getting it out of the mind and into the physical so that your eyes see the release, so that your throat hears the release, and all of that clocks with the mind. We don't have to get crazy on hermetics, on universal principles. We don't have to get crazy on what the science is in the mind about it. You don't have to be a neuroscientist to understand this, to understand that the body keeps the score. Emotions and thoughts are literally lodged in your body and need release. And this is what we use ritual for. This is even what religions have used ritual for from the beginning of time. Dancing around fires, banging on drums, to singing in churches. It's evoking emotions and releasing it from the body. And there are emotions here that need to be released. Emotions that are not serving us to get to this 10 of Cups. Howling at the moon. Look, you can make it as woo-woo as you want or not. It's the action. It's taking an action to release emotion. Dancing does it. There are many ways to get into this ritual. What works for you makes you the high priest, high priestess of your life. not what works for somebody else. And do you need imagination? Do you need creative inspiration on how to do it? Plenty of places to find it, right? Plenty of places. But if it doesn't speak to your heart, it doesn't mean that you're not doing it right, or you're not a high priestess, or you're not full of magic. Yes, you are magical AF. But for every high priest, high priestess, it's going to be something else. It's going to be a different ritual. It's going to be a different ceremony. It might be a different text. Okay? Don't get caught up in spiritual narcissism. Figure out what works for you. Don't fear what works for other people. Try the things that feel good to your mind, body, and soul. Okay? And it's all connected. It's all connected. Tell me more about reaching emotional resolution through ritual release for the high priestess. You're protecting your own heart, mind, and soul. What they're telling me is some of you actually feel comfortable in a church space, is what this Page of Pentacles is telling me. Some of you feel comfortable in a church space even though the church doesn't agree with all of your goings on, whatever voodoo you do. Now, this is specifically talking about a building. They're talking to me about someone who's wanted to go back to church. Not for the people, not for the word. There's something comforting about being in the building. There's something that feels connected about being in the building. Then go to the building. Then go to the building. Doesn't mean you have to sign on the dotted line for anything. Okay? I even still occasionally go to Catholic Mass. There's something comforting in that for me because of my ancestral lineage, because of my love for my grandmother, who was my greatest spiritual teacher. It don't mean I subscribe, you know? It does not mean I subscribe to the newsletter. It does not mean that I subscribe to Regret, Guilt, and Shame. It doesn't mean that I subscribe to the book 100% that was translated a million times over by kings, okay? There's something about that. Someone feels some kind of comfort in some kind of to some kind of religion, even though they don't completely subscribe to everything with it, and that's okay. That's how all spiritual practices really are made. Christianity has pagan ritual in it, whether they're willing to admit it or not. They got it from the pagans. When voodoo came to the US from Africa, it also started to integrate Catholicism. It's all integrated. It's all integrated. It all has the same core concepts. So, yeah, Moxie, I love that. Whether it's a starry sky, which makes you feel connected, whether it's the inside of a church building, you know, whether it's your own private personal space. That's all you. That's all you. That's whatever works for you, high priestess. You're the high priestess of that space. Wherever you are, your energy is what makes you the high priest, the high priestess. Tell me more about the high priestess. The darkness. Oh, love that. The high priestess that likes the darkness. Well, the high priestess is standing in between the pillar of the dark and the light. This is the black moon energy. Tell me more about this. This is that black moon energy. This is the temple of the black rose energy. This is the energy of a priestess that thrives in the dark, that thrives in the shadow. Tell me more. Tell me more about this dark priestess in front of me. Keep seeing a lot of shadow energy. Tell me more about the dark priestess. Ace of Cups. The dark makes you feel rejuvenated. I love it. You're speaking my language now, whoever I'm talking to. Talk to me about this. Talk to me about the dark priestess. Feels rejuvenated from the darkness. Oh, behind the moon. That's right. This moon is your energy. This moon is your temple. This is the emotions. Am I talking to a fellow goth girl? Two of Cups. You feel in union with self. In the shadow energy, in the dark. Yes, that is also great mother energy, Dawn. With the horned one. In the Beltane fires. Oh, tell me more. Tell me more what's behind the moon with the high priestess. You revel in the power of your darkness. You know that's where your power lies. And you own it. Beautiful. Beautiful. The star. Hell yeah. Equilibrium. Understanding that the darkness keeps you in your equilibrium. This is some sexy energy, high priestess. Whatever high priestess I'm talking to. Grace. Your grace and your equilibrium comes from the darkness. You understand that you can move between the realms. Other people don't understand that you can move between the realms. I'm talking to a dark priestess who also sets foot in a church. And I love it. What I love is because the high priestess has that discernment to understand when others around them don't understand it, but they're okay with that because they understand it. This is some kind of confirmation for you. What's the confirmation here? Because I'm just telling this high priestess stuff she already knows or he already knows. Protection against judgment. High priestess, you are protected against judgment. What else does this high priestess? What else does this dark goth high priestess need to know? These are my tarot cards talking, Jimmy, not the oracle cards. Inside joke. Inside memes. Mission. You know you're on a mission. I'm speaking to a dark priestess who I believe is a Leo. You have a lot of fire in your chart. There's a lot of fire energy in your chart. It does feel like Leo energy. You're extremely good at protecting your mind. Tell me more. It's a dark priestess on a mission. What's the mission this dark priestess is on? Raphael, healing. Oh, this is shaman energy. You have some kind of sacred medicine that a lot of people would not agree with. Tell me more about this healing energy, this shamanic energy. Comes from the dark too. That would cause a tower for most people because they would not understand. But that's their lack of understanding, right? Okay, if you are someone who has considered diving, I'm talking to a priestess who maybe you're not quite there yet. You've considered doing forms of shadow work with people, helping people become oppressed from mental illness, from mental illness, from depression. I hate that term mental illness, but helping people heal the mind. Let's say that. Okay? You're a dark priestess who has been considering putting your gifts out there. You have healing gifts, you have shamanic gifts. Some of this is through natural medicine, but there's also this healing energy through the shadow. It's like allowing people safety to travel into the dark. You assist people safely in traveling into the dark parts of their mind. This is something that you may have considered, like you do this for yourself, okay? Like I said, this is someone with Leo energy. This is someone who's very, very good at protecting their mind. You're very confident in your high priest, high priestess energy, but this is something that you want to offer. I feel like this is something that you want to bring out into the world with other people. A lot of people aren't going to get you. A lot of people aren't going to get the way that you work, because I see you operating in all types of realms, above and below here on earth, right? You walk in the light, you walk in the dark. And so, but this is a confirmation for you if your heart is being called to help liberate oppressed people by walking them into the darkness. Okay, there's something about this, and this again, this is not, there's something very beautiful in this energy. There's nothing fraudulent in this energy. There's nothing, this energy would scare people though. Like this is not, these are not services that would be for everyone, right? But you feel called to this, and this is a confirmation that you should move forward with that calling. Tell me more about this. Yeah, this is interesting. You have all kinds of spirit guides you work with, all kinds of spirit protection, all kinds of spirit guides, okay? Helping people to live in peace in their own mind. Okay, so joy and pleasure, bringing joy and pleasure back to people, helping them to remove negative energy, helping them to understand their own power to remove negative energy. This is coming out because if you're having any reservation, those thoughts need to be banished, and that's what needs to be banished in this black moon, is the sense that I'm getting off of this. I like this. This is someone who works everywhere. You work everywhere. You work everywhere. You work with all kinds of energies, but you harness your power from the dark, and it brings light to other people, being able to walk them into that and not to fear that, not to fear their own darkness, okay? And there's something very special about this. There's something very special about you and how you have figured this out, okay? And I like this. So rock on with your goth self. Rock on with your dark self. Okay, and it's just the energy. Oh. I feel like somebody's getting fitted for fangs. All right, where are we going? Where are we going? We're going to go back to the witching hour. What else is going on in this black moon energy? What else is going on in this black moon energy? The witch's brew. The witching hour. Somebody's going to get some answers at 3 a.m. Some of you have an animal familiar, an animal spirit that passed on that literally sits right over your shoulder. Literally sits right behind your right shoulder. It's like they're looking up at you, but they sit right behind you. Some of you may want to try candle wax readings in water as a form of scrying. I'm seeing that too. Salt. Salt is very important. Where you drip candle wax into water. and seeing what forms. That's going to be a new form of scrying for someone. If for some reason that just calls to you, try it. Try it. No harm, no foul. You might find that it is for you. I love this dog that I'm feeling. If it's a dog, I feel a dog over behind someone, sitting right behind their right shoulder, gazing up at them. It's like a gaze of love. Yeah, it is another form of scrying. You know, just dripping the wax into a bowl of water, seeing what forms, see what visions you get from it. There's some favorable circumstances. There's some clarity that someone is going to get at that witching hour at 3 a.m. Look where you live in the world and what witching hour lands you in that full moon, whether it's tonight, that new moon, the black moon, whether it's tonight or tomorrow night. There's something about someone being woken up at 3 a.m., creating a boundary around you with some salt. Okay? Creating some salt boundaries around you. You can pour lines of salt. You can put yourself in a circle of salt, throw some salt over your shoulder, whatever you want to do. And because it's setting boundaries for the mind to be completely clear for these downloads. Tell me about these downloads. Tell me about these favorable circumstances that will be downloaded in this moon, this witching hour. It's going to come in from two guides. Some of you are going to find out about a pregnancy, like literal, physical. Some of you are going to get an answer to this 9 of Wands in reverse that we were talking about earlier. The emotional thing that needs to be banished, tied to previous karmic cycles that have been repeated over and over again, specifically in relationship. Some of you are going to get a download about some resources, about some favorable circumstances, where to find these resources. The Lovers, some of you are going to get an answer about a choice. Tell me more about this choice. The Star, yeah. Some of you have been confused about a choice to make. And you're going to have clarity in that moment to bring you into that star energy, to put you in the space of the star from the choice. What are we creating boundaries against? Anxiety, Queen of Swords in reverse. Outside words and voices that would create anxiety, that would make you question your intuition. It's why you're being asked to put those salt boundaries up when you're woken up. You will naturally wake up at this time and go right into it. Step right into that liminal space. Don't distract yourself. Don't turn on your phone. Don't do those things. Keep your mind there in that liminal space. The 4 of Swords, yeah. You're being asked for the mind to be in a rested space. Do some salt boundaries. Okay, there's some very clear messages that will come through here with the Knight of Swords. So if you are woken up at 3 a.m., wherever you are in the world, tonight or tomorrow night, do not ignore it. Get out of bed. Get out of bed. Go to a quiet space. Create some salt boundaries around you so the mind is protected and clear. Okay, what else is happening in this black moon energy? I use salt water too all the time. I take saltwater baths all the time as a way to clear my aura, to clear my energy. I have to. I get lots of hitchhikers. I get lots of hitchhikers. Always have. In this town particularly. I can easily bring home a lot of hitchhikers from the French Quarter. What else needs to happen? What else needs to happen in this black moon? What else? What are the other messages? Witch of the Woods, retreating to that space, honoring of a cycle. We know that new moons equal new cycles. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Please retreat this weekend if you can. Take advantage of this energy. Tell me more. 888. I'm seeing 888 on these cards. Yeah, the solitary witch. Casting a circle. There it is, man. I'm telling you. I keep seeing visions of salt circles. Get in solitary. Get into retreat mode. Get into the salt circle. Messages are repeating. Because somebody really needs to hear this. They're giving me the same messages. All right. And I keep seeing the same visions. Some of you need to draw a pentagram on the floor just like that in a circle, and only because you're scared to death of it. So you can see that there's nothing really scary about it. That's just someone else's superstition. I heard that loud and clear. That's my Salem ancestors. All right, what else do we need to know about this black moon? Hold on, they're telling me to switch decks. Okay. What else is going on in this black moon? Being still in the presence of the dawn. Being still in the presence of the dawn. This is, I'm getting like a sense of like there's a message about switching up your routine right when you wake up. And it doesn't, not like, not anything that needs to be long or drawn out, but you know, sometimes we get into certain habits where like the first thing we do is grab our phone, right? And it's just about being still in the presence of dawn for a moment, whatever dawn is to you. Dawn is not officially dawn for me, you know. Vampires don't work in the day. As a way to sow intention for the day. Okay, someone's getting a little hyped up. Okay, I'm sensing that somebody's getting a little hyped up and it's just breaking a cycle. Somebody's getting a little hyped up first thing in the morning by some form of media, and it's just simply breaking a cycle with that, and you'll see a change in your energy quite quickly after you do that. Okay? Aquarius. Yeah, because there's a call for this creative energy to come through. There's a call for this creative visionary to come through. And this specifically has to do with when someone wakes up. If you are not feeling creative, if you are not feeling like excited about seizing the day, it's just they're saying there's just a little tweak that needs to be made. There's a little tweak that needs to be banished right when you first wake up in the morning. And that's hard, right? Because we get our mind, we get on brain lock about things, and things that sometimes even seem insignificant, as simple as that. If we roll over and grab our phone first thing in the morning, that is immediately that's what we're immediately feeding into our brain. And it's just blocking some creative energy. This is not like a serious message, but I'm clearly getting a sense of like someone feels blocked in their creative energy and in their creative energy. And so this comes into practical magic. This is a form of practical magic, okay? Just switching whatever it is that you do first thing in the morning. And a lot of times like we make things out to be more than they need to be, feeling like we have to have this big morning ritual. We have to sit down and write in a journal and do all these things. And the reality is a lot of people don't have time to do that, right? You don't have time, right? We have times that we have to be to work. We have things going on in our lives. There are people that we care for. That we have to handle, things we have to handle, getting kids to school, all those kind of things. So it's not about creating this big, huge, like ritual. It can just be the simplest little tweaks in our practical magic that will shift the energy and shift us into creative energy. And so this is around your dawn. This is a call of that being done in the dawn, being still in the presence of the dawn for a moment. So if you're someone who yeah, I do morning coffee and cards too, Sai. I need a couple minutes when I first wake up. I'm not one of those people that's just like shoots up out of bed and is like, it takes me a minute to hit the ground running. Coffee is a ritual of mine for sure. So this is just a call for someone to just make a slight tweak, okay, to your dawn, and you will feel the difference. So if that's something that's been weighing on your heart, that's just simply a confirmation of that. Or if you feel this blah when you wake up in the morning, that's a way to handle it. Okay, we're going to do a final channel here. Actually, we're going to dive into the symbols. Shift the frequency. Coffee's nothing more than ritual for me. I mean, caffeine's great, but there's a ritual to it. I've actually recently been doing tea instead. There's something about just that moment of stillness. Okay, final channel for this black moon here. Final channel, what's happening in this black moon? What is the energy in this black moon for the star tribe? Well, the energy of divinity, that's right. Your magic is working and it's sacred because you divine. You magical AF, spiritual cleansing. Here we go. Power, power. Believe in your rituals. Believe in this cleansing. Okay? Because that's what magic really is at the end of the day, right? It's about belief. And again, we were talking about invoking with the emotion, creating it in the physical. Your belief is what gives you power, it's what makes you divine. And it's connecting the physical, the mental, the spiritual, and giving it power. Your ritual will give things power. It's not your ritual. It's not just solely your ritual that will make it happen. It's the combination of all of it. It's your belief. It's your willingness to do it, to bring it into the physical. So what needs to be banished? What needs to be banished in this black moon energy? What needs to be rooted out and banished? And we can't just keep that in our mind. It has to be manifested into a physical action. And do it through ritual. And know that you're powerful, and that's how powerful your mind is. and that your rituals work. And you can cure your own diseases. You can move that energy out of the physical, out of the body, is what I mean by the physical. Those emotions, those mindsets, that stagnation, hit it. Get you some candles, get you some salt, okay? Get in your power. Get in your power. Because you're magical AF. You're divine. You're human and you are divine, okay? You're a spiritual light being and you're in a human body. Your human body is the vehicle to help you release these things, to help you move these things. All right? So do it up. Do up this black moon energy. I got my candles ready. I'm ready to hit it. I got all kinds of stuff out tonight. Ready for my altar. I love it. All right, got a shadow message for you. Reading that I just recorded that will be posted for tomorrow. Friday nights is going to be our new jam, Star Child. This is when we will do our live streams and hang out together. And thank you for all that have taken the jump from Friday to Saturday. Thank you for everyone who's been so patient with my schedule as I have been navigating a new timeline. I love y'all so much. I'll see you next time.